Okay, hi everyone. My name is Amanda and I'm going to be your math coach for intermediate algebra this semester. A little bit about myself. I am a sophomore here at FGCU. I'm a biology major on the pre-vet track. And then these are just a picture of me and my dogs. I'm going to be holding office hours twice a week. I don't know exactly when yet, but I will message you, or your instructors will message you about it. And here is my email. I'm also going to be doing a Zoom session online over the weekend. Anyways, here's my email. Please don't hesitate to email me if you have any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, anything. I usually have my phone on me, so I promise that I'm going to reply. Okay, now let's get into the good stuff, the math. So for this section, we have to solve the equation. Easy peasy. I know you guys can do this very easily, but let's review it. So, what are we solving for here in number 1? We're solving for y. To solve for a variable, you have to isolate it. But first, let's get rid of these parentheses. So, this negative sign that you see right here, we can technically interpret it to be a -1. And since there is no addition or subtraction sign right here, that means that this -1 is being multiplied into the parentheses. So let's do this. -1 times +7. A negative times a positive is going to give us a negative number. So that's going to be -7y. A negative times another negative is going to give us a positive number. -1 times -4 is going to give us +4. Now, applying that logic, let's do the other parentheses. -1 times -6y, negative and a negative makes a positive, is going to give us +6y. Negative times -6, negative and negative make a positive, so it's going to give us +6 equals -2. So now let's combine like terms. So on this side, our like terms are -7y and 6y. So -7 plus 6 is going to give us -1. Since the -1 is with a variable, we don't have to write the 1. So it's just going to be -y plus 4 plus 6 equals -2. Now, to keep combining like terms, 4 plus 6 is going to give us 10. So that's going to be -y plus 10 equals -2. Now, excuse me. We want to isolate y, so in order to isolate it, we have to subtract 10, which will cancel out. -2 minus 10 is going to give us -12. So y equals -12. Now, we cannot have a negative variable. In order to make a negative variable into a positive variable, we're going to multiply it by a negative. Technically, it is a -1, just like we saw above, but we have to multiply both sides. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. Now, negative and a negative is going to give us a +y equals -12 times -1 is going to give us +12. And that's the answer to number 1. Now, let's go to number 2. Here, we're solving for x instead of y, but it's the same thing, same logic. So let's keep going. Let me change colors. So now, we're multiplying this fraction into the parentheses and this fraction into the parentheses. So, +1/2 times x is going to give me 1/2 x. Now we have to multiply +1/2 times -4. Now, notice that -4 is not a fraction, but technically it is because it's 4/1. It's a whole number. So let's just do that off to the side. 1/2 times 4 equals We can put a 1 under it if it makes you feel more comfortable. If not, you don't have to. Can we simplify this? Yes, we can. We can simplify it by dividing it by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the final answer is 2 over 1, which can be further simplified into 2. So that's going to be 1/2 x. That's going to be negative 2, because it's positive 1/2 times negative 4. And a positive and a negative gives us a negative. Now, let's do this other part. Let me erase this so it's a bit more clear. So, same logic. Negative 1/9 times x. It's a negative times a positive, so it's going to give us a negative. So, negative 1/9x. And then let's do negative 1/9 times negative 9. Negative times a negative is going to give us a positive. And let's just do this off to the side. 1/9 times 9. We can do this. And can you simplify this? Yes, you can. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So the final answer is 1. So it's going to be plus 1. So this equals x plus 5. So now let's combine like terms. So negative 2 plus 1 is going to give us negative 1. So 1/2 x minus 1/9x minus 1 equals x plus 5. Okay, now that we combined the negative 2 and the 1, let's do the 1/2 x minus 1/9x. So when you add or multiply fractions, they need to have a common denominator. These denominators, they're not the same. They need to be the same. How do we make them the same? We find the least common denominator. What's the least common denominator between 2 and 9? That's going to be 18. Because 2 is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And then 9 is just 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. So it's going to be 18. How do we make these denominators to be 18 so that we can subtract them? That's easy. We multiply. Let's do this off to the side. 1/2 times what is going to make the denominator 18? Times 9. 1 times 9 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. So it's going to be 9/18x. And then let's bring down the negative sign because we are subtracting. Now, let's make 1/9 have a denominator of 18. And how do we do that? We multiply by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 9 times 2 is 18. So 2/18x. Don't forget about the x. Now let's write the rest of the equation. Negative 1 equals x plus 5. Now, 9 minus 2 is going to give us 7. So 7/18x minus 1 equals x plus 5. Now let's just get rid of this 1 plus 1 plus 1. 7/18x equals x plus 6. So now, why don't we get rid of this fraction? And how do we get rid of a fraction? We multiply everything in the equation by the denominator so that it cancels out. Let me show you. So we would multiply everything by 18. So that would be 18 times 7/18x equals 18 times x plus 18 times 6. Okay, so you can think of it as being like this, like we did before, so the 18s would cancel out because you are multiplying them. And then it would be 7x, or you could think about it as being 18 times 7, which is 126, so it would be 126. And then you can divide 126 by 18, which will also give us 7, and then you bring down the x. So 7x equals 18 times x is 18x plus 18 times 6 is 108. Now, let's do minus 18x minus 18x. 7 minus 18 is going to give us negative 11x equals 108. So now, to isolate the x here is being multiplied by negative 11. So we have to divide it by negative 11. Divide both sides. So negative 11 divided by negative 11 is going to give me positive 1, because negative and negative will give us a positive number. And we don't have to write the 1 because it's with a variable. It's in front of a variable. So x equals negative 108 over 11. Because you can't simplify 108 over 11. They have no common factors. So that is our answer. Very nice. Now let's go to number 3. Same concept. So here, solving for x once again. And like we did in the previous question. So here they're asking us to subtract two fractions. But these two fractions don't have a common denominator, so we can't subtract them just yet. We have to get a common denominator. What's a common denominator? What's a common number, common factor between 5 and 3? What's the lowest common factor? That would be 15. So we have to make the denominator in both of these fractions to be 15. How do we do that? Same way we did it before. Let's do it off to the side. 2 over 5 times what will make the denominator 15? Times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. So this will become 6 over 15x, don't forget the x, minus, and now how do we make 1 over 3 to have a denominator of 15? We multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5, and 3 times 5 is 15. So 5 over 15x. Don't forget to bring down the x and the negative, or the minus sign, technically, equals 4. So now we can subtract these fractions. So what's 6 minus 5? That would give us 1 over 15x equals 4. So now we need to isolate x. And we would also like to get rid of that fraction, wouldn't we? Because honestly, who likes fractions? So to get rid of this fraction, we will multiply it by 15 in order to cancel it out, excuse me. So you can think about it as being 15 times 1, which is 15, divided by 15 is going to give us 1. And we don't write the 1 because it's right next to a variable. It's with a variable. So it would be x equals 4 times 15, which is 4 times 15, 60. So that's our answer. Now let's go to number 4. We're halfway there, almost done. So this time we're solving for r. Even though it's a different variable than what you might be used to, it's the same concept. So we would do the same thing. Let me go to blue. So 1/3 over r is going to give it 1/3 times r is going to be 1/3 r plus, because it's a positive and a positive. So 1/3 times 6, let's do this off to the side, 1 over 3 times 6. You don't have to add the 1 in the denominator, that's just how I feel comfortable doing it. You don't have to. Can we simplify this? Yes, we can simplify it by dividing it by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, 6 divided by 3 is 2, so it's going to give us 2 over 1, which can be further simplified to 2. And you don't have to simplify right away either. You can do 1/3 times 6 over 1 equals 6 over 3, which is 6 divided by 3, which is going to give us 2. So you can do it both ways. Okay, so that's going to be plus 2 equals 1 over 6r plus, let's multiply once again off to the side, 1 over 6 times 8. Can we simplify this? Yes. We can simplify it by dividing by 2. 6 divided by 2 is going to give us 3. 8 divided by 2 is going to give us 4. So it's going to be 4 over 3 plus 4 over 3. Now, why don't we get rid of these fractions? So if you remember what we did previously, in order to get rid of fractions, we have to multiply by the common number of the denominators. So do you notice anything that these denominators have in common? It's the number 6, because they're all multiples of 3, and the highest one is 6. So let's multiply everything in the equation by 6. 6 times 1 over 3r plus 6 times 2 equals 6 times 1 over 6r plus 6 times 4 over 3. So now we can start canceling them. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is going to give us 2, and then we move down the r to r, plus 6 times 2 is 12 equals 6 times 1 is 6, divided by 6 is going to give us 1, but we don't have to write the 1 because it's with a variable. So that's just r, plus 6 times 4 is 24. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So 8. So now let's start to try to isolate r. So we have an r here, so why don't we subtract this r, so that would be minus r, technically minus 1, and 2r minus r, or 2r minus 1, 1r, is going to be r, because 2 minus 1 is 1, but once again, we don't have to write the 1, plus 12 equals 8. Now let's isolate it by subtracting 12. 12 minus 12 is 0, so it cancels out. And then 8 minus 12 is going to give us negative 4. So r equals negative 4. That's the answer for number 4. Halfway there. So now let's do number 5. Okay. So solving for x, once again, easy peasy. We've done this before. So 2 times x is going to give us 2x. 2 times 4 is going to give us 8. Oops. So now, remember what we said about the negative sign. There is no addition or subtraction here in between the negative 1 and this parentheses. So we're multiplying. A negative times a positive is going to make a negative. So negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 8 is going to make negative 8 equals 0. So now, why don't we start combining like terms? You're going to notice it's going to be a little funny because 2x minus 2x is going to cancel out. And then 8 minus 8 is also going to cancel out. So that will make it 0 equals 0. And this weird looking equation is going to mean that the answer is all real numbers. So remember, when 0 equals 0, it's all real numbers. Okay, number 6. So now we're stepping into something a little bit different. So here, this section asks us to solve the formula for the specified variable. So let's do number 6. So here in number 6, they're asking us to solve for b. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. So a equals 1/2 bh. So we have to isolate b. But why don't we get rid of the fraction first? So, like we did before, how do we get rid of a fraction? We multiply everything in the equation by the denominator so that it cancels out. So we do 2 times a, 2 times 1/2 bh. So 2 times a is 2a, and then 2 times 1/2 bh is going to be 2 times 1 is 2. 2 over 2 is going to give us 1, but since it's with variables, we don't write the 1. So it's going to be equals bh. So now to isolate b, we're going to have to divide h by h because it's being multiplied right here. So you do the opposite. Divide by h. So b equals 2a over h. And that's our answer. number 7, almost there. So now once again, they're asking to solve for b. And it's the same method that we used for the previous question. So I'm going to rewrite it once again. V equals 1/3 BH. So let's get rid of the fraction. How do we get rid of a fraction? We multiply everything in the equation by the denominator so that it cancels out. So 3 times V equals 3 times 1/3 BH. So 3 times V is 3V. And then 3 times 1 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. We don't write the 1 because it's with variables. So BH. Now, like we did before, the B is being multiplied to the H, so we have to divide by the H in order to isolate it. So B equals 3V over H. And that is our answer. So number 8. Let's do it. Last one. So solve for C. Let's ignore that. That was my mom. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite it. F equals 9/5 C plus 32. This is a little different because we do have an addition sign. So now let's isolate C. And the first thing that we can do is to subtract 32 minus 32, which is just moving it to the other side. So this will become F minus 32 equals 9/5C. This is being multiplied. So why don't we divide it? And in order to divide it, I don't know if you remember, but you're going to have to use keep, change, flip. So 9/5, 9/5. So keep, change, flip. In this case, the F minus 32 stays the same. We change the division sign into a multiplication sign, which we don't usually put it out here. You can put it towards the end, but why not put it towards the beginning? And then the reciprocal, which is what you switch. So 5/9. It is 5/9 times F minus 32, but the parentheses without the addition or without the addition or subtraction sign, it's going to tell us that we're going to multiply. But it's not asking us to. It's just asking us to solve for C. So, other side. These will cancel, leaving us with just C. So, let's rewrite it. C equals 5/9 F minus 32. And that is our answer. I'm going to do a little example here in case you don't remember what keep, change, flip is. Just a little like off to the side. Let's do an example. So 3/2 divided by 1/2. So you're dividing fractions, so you keep, change, flip. What do you keep? The 3/2. What do you change? Division sign into multiplication. And what do you flip? The other fraction that you're trying to divide by. How do you flip it? It's 1/2, so you do 2/1. And then can you simplify this? Yes. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it's going to be 3/1, which we can simplify to be 3. And that's just an example of keep, change, flip. So that's it for this video. This is our first session, technically. Like I said, I'm going to be having office hours. I will contact you guys about it eventually. Email me if you have any questions. I'm going to meet you guys later this week, so I'll be looking forward to that, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.